Hello, my name's Elizabeth Baker. I am a storyteller and a writer. I was one of the creative writers working on the Museum in Your Classroom project in 2020. In this section, we're going to think about exhibitions. This is where all the work that you've been doing comes together. And remember, it's the work that all of you have been doing. When you put on an exhibition, everybody has a role and everybody has a voice. Before you create your own exhibition, you need to have an idea of what an exhibition is. And, well, we've got some resources to help you for that. Your teacher can show you some of the exhibitions that some other schools have made on the Museum in Your Classroom website. Because when you take part in Museum in Your Classroom, you'll go to visit a museum, like the Captain Cook one here, or an art gallery. When I worked with children, I set them some tasks. They had to explore the exhibitions, but they had to look at examples. What I wanted them to think about was interpretation. That's a big word, isn't it, interpretation? It means how we explain all the things that you can see in an exhibition. So it might be with pictures, it might be with objects, and it will definitely have some text, some writing. So you need to really think about exhibition. And when you're in the museum or gallery, I want you to have a look for examples of good and bad interpretation. See how the museum tells the story of the objects that it cares for. Before you begin anything, you need to decide what space your exhibition's going to be in, because that helps you decide how much work and what sort of work you're going to put in your exhibition. It's no good planning a huge exhibition if you don't have display boards. It's no good deciding you're going to make a huge replica of a moai or some huge artwork if actually you've only got a tiny space. It doesn't matter if your exhibition space is huge or small. Both have good and bad points. One of the schools I worked with had access to an enormous sports hall. And whilst at first we all thought, oh, brilliant, after a while we all thought, oh, are we going to be able to fill this? It's all a bit daunting because it was enormous. So the teachers were amazing. They planned all sorts of creative things to fill the space. We had a tent with a projector that showed videos of stories that the children had written with me. There were dummies dressed in costumes. There were exhibitions on tables and on display boards. There were even sand pits with replicas in them so that visitors could excavate them. And there was a huge basketball hoop, because remember I said it was a sports hall. And so we decided we would hang helmets that the children had made as part of their museum visit down from the basketball hoop. They all came down like a big sort of waterfall, and the helmets had poems written on them. But you know, we could have done something just as amazing in a tiny space. So remember, you don't have to have a huge space, you don't have to have a tiny space, you just have to plan.